Dr. Jan Ricken, Head of Group Organization and Process Excellence in Luxembourg for Incifo Energy Company. He is joining us now to give his insights of practically implementing digital transformation with process mining. And Jan has a fantastic experience as a black belt, a teacher of Lean Six Sigma at the local universities. He lives it, breathes it, does it every day. And please reach out to us in the chat and ask questions, because this is going to be really good. So Jan, it's all yours.
Thanks a lot for this introduction. Good day, everybody, from wherever you are watching. Yeah, so our journey on driving digital transformation, it is a journey, and yeah, it's from really the viewpoint of practicing that. As yeah, stated, I'm working with business processes since more than 20 years, and I'm now in charge. So I've done a lot of consulting, also seen different tools. And now I'm working since 7 years for Incifo Group, which is in Luxembourg, the holding. And in our group, we have the supply of energy. So you see that it's Innovos. So we produce green energy. We are also, of course, purchasing, trading, storing energy, and we sell power and natural gas in B2B as well as in B2C. But we also have the TSO and DSO in our group, so energy transmission, energy distribution, so the network midstream. And we have also behind the meter a lot of retail, so downstream local services, which is really also about energy transition, so smart buildings, different EV charging points set up, different services that you might have, energy efficiency services. So we really are an integrated utility, really with, I would say, 15 different companies in our groups, really taking care about sustainable energy transmission. Here on the right side, you see the number of employees. So yeah, it's so we again increase also employees. We are working a lot also on our emissions. So the emissions of our leasing fleet was turned down now to 36 grams CO2, and by 25 we will have 0. So a very ambitious objective for ourselves. And then also you see the power that we distribute, that we produce through our grid and to our customers. So, and within this group, I'm responsible for group organization and process excellence. So process excellence, it's the standard. So it's the way we do business process management, from strategy to definitions, embedding roles, responsibilities, using it for implementing processes. Currently, for instance, we have S/4HANA implementation, so we are moving our ERP to the latest technology, but also, of course, related to process mining, process control, and process performance management. And then also next to processes, I'm in charge of the PMO, so project management, data, sustainability, and also data privacy with my team. Luxembourg is small, so I don't know whoever from your side, if you had the chance to visit this city and this town. It's small, but we're also active in Germany, France, Belgium, and in the Netherlands with some different types of production and storage technologies, as you see it here. And yeah, finally, I would say, yeah, big three pillars are customer centricity, energy efficiency, and we focus on renewable energy. So we do not have coal, lignite, or something like that as production side, or nuclear in our production portfolio. We really focus on clean and renewable energy. So this is it, I think, as an introduction for what Ensero and what our group is. And now we are spot in, because all the, I would say, different companies that we have in our group have their business model. They all have to do with energy transition, and on top, we want to have it in a sustainable way. So sustainability is really embedded in our core strategy, and doing the right things is nothing else than defining the business model, so making clear and sure that we serve our markets with green and sustainable products and services, and that we help our customers to succeed in this energy transition, be it B2C or B2B. And of course, having also a sustainable business model related to that. And then comes the point where this business model needs somehow to be translated into processes and operating models. So this is where really you need to make sure that you control your transformation and that you optimize and achieve operational excellence. And this is, of course, by doing the right things and doing the things right at the end of the day, because you are then starting to measure end-to-end customer satisfaction with different scores, or you are measuring process cycle times, you are looking at process quality, so sigma levels, or also the type of errors that you do. You're checking costs, you are looking at risks and controls, and also on compliance and skills. So this is still true, but you're all aware that specifically last year we went into poly crisis, because as the pandemics were just over, then this war started, and of course the energy markets were driving really crazy, and a resilience became an absolute important focus, and also managing the different risks that we had related to that. So these are the different standards that I'm responsible for. You see the business process management the standard that is there on the top left. So together with the different entities, we look at the process objectives, at the strategy. We look, okay, how can we work to put this process organization in place? So we have unified roles and responsibilities. Then we translate this into how can we really help and support the business to best work in business architecture, and making sure that the implementation of their projects is working. Sure, communication and knowledge management is a critical part. We manage also the tool, so we have a complete tool set. So process modeling, design, process communication through the intranet, but also process controls and our process performance management, process mining. And this leads then to process-oriented performance, of course, where we check if the processes are really managed or not. And there also you see the other topics I'm responsible for. And specifically, they're all linked to process management, because for the projects, this is particularly important when we talk about integrated business architecture, because all projects that need to implement something new or put in place some processes or do some efficiency gains, I see them all, and then I can of course also see and evaluate how we can help the best and what can be done related to process improvements. And obviously, data privacy and data management itself is also very important, because data, and we got it already in the previous talks, is a key component and really now also a really important way for process mining, a critical skill set to make sure that your data analysts are also on board. And then the CSR management is then important, because we manage also our sustainability management through our processes. Now, event data versus process model. I don't know if you heard about the desire line. So this is a scene where I was driving during my last holidays with the bike with my family on a nice cycleway, and there we came at the crossroads, and you see clearly a sign. Okay, it's just for bicycles. You see the sign there in the middle. You also see that other or cars or what else should not cross there. So it's but then you see also that there are some traces there on the left, and well, this is also a fantastic analogy that says, well, look, your business process model should say, you just walk, you just with your bicycle drive there straight, and this street is just for bicycles, right? But in reality, you see that the event data says or tells you that there are some cars or trucks that bypass these signs, and this is a very powerful analogy, because also within our company, the people understand this trait. Also here you see another scene. So just, I would say, 2 miles later, there you have to stay with your bicycles. There you have to stand up and just, you know, take the foot to go through, because it's dangerous. It's a crossroad, and again on the right side you see there are some traces where, well, it could be pedestrians, but it could also be cyclists. So therefore, again, we always have a difference between what we intend in our business process model, how we should work, a standard process, the to-be model, the design process, and the event data that tells you how in reality the processes are executed and performed. And the goal of process mining is really to discover, monitor, and improve real processes. So not assume processes, by extracting this knowledge from the event logs that are available in the systems. So it's mainly ERP systems, and then to turn this event data into insights and actions. It doesn't mean anything if you say, oh, okay, now we know, yes, there are some traces. But if you don't dig deeper, if you do not turn this event data into insights and actions, then of course, yeah, this tool, the process mining tool, is then not used to its end, to what it can deliver. And in fact, there are 3 types of process mining, where you have the discovery out of the event logs, where you can check conformance. So is my event logs, so is my executed process similar to my process model, to what I intend? And then of course you have enhancement, meaning that, okay, based on that, you can have an overlay and see, okay, how well is it, and yeah, you can then improve and enhance your process model, because you know how the events were really, I would say, performed and put together. So here it's put in another scheme. So where you see as an input with event logs, and the use case is discovery, then we do results, we have the model. And this, by the way, is something that is powerful because we have also business analysts. They are doing, I would say, yeah, a lot of workshops with our people and asking them, okay, how do you work and so on. And now, step by step, we with our tool are in the position also to extract, to discover a real model and to translate it into a BPMN model. And therefore also it saves time because you get it from the system. Conformance checking is also very interesting because it tells you, is it conforming to the intended way of working? And this is particularly important or interesting for processes where you have embedded checks and where you would like to know, are these checks somehow bypassed? And if they are bypassed, why? And then enhancement is then finally an enhanced model, so using event logs and the model as an input. And now comes, and process mining for itself is a wonderful tool, but I'm convinced that you only get really the full power and the full, I would say, benefits of the tool if you also use it into the context of continuous improvement. And so it was already said, I'm a strong believer in continuous improvement, and there also we use Lean Six Sigma. And if you are, if you know this method, so it's based on rationals. It's measured, and here I've put the demake phases on the, I would say, complete cycle. So if you start on the top, we first always should define the problem. So in define, so you know in this phase it's important, and there you can use everything you can get out of the system, so data already, because you can try to find, okay, where are the biggest pain points? Where should I try to look at? Of course, the people have stomach feelings, and the case I will show you was that our CFO told me, Jan, our procurement process is not running smooth, and I have the strong feeling that you should have a look into that because it's not efficient at all. But I don't know exactly where and what can be done. And then we started to look into that. We measured the actual performance, which is key, because if you don't do that, you will have then, I would say, problems in really telling afterwards, after having done some improvements, what really you have improved, and to have really the rationale that you had to start from a baseline. And then, so this is where you get the data from, where process mining can be already of very good help, because it can provide you already hotspots and it measure actual performance. And then you have discussions, you will then analyze. The tool can also already provide you some hints on where bottlenecks are, where the issues are, but then in the combined workshop analysis together with the teams, you also certainly have then qualitative methods to really analyze and determine the root cause for the problems. Because what you want to do in sustainable process improvement is, of course, to determine the root cause for the problems and to improve and remove them, for sure. Yeah. I've already seen examples where with RPA, I would say waste has been automated because people did not went really to the root cause for the problems identified, and therefore, this was then not an ideal improvement, because it was just not sustainable. And then you do some design, redesign. You can work with your models. You verify, you specify, and then in the configuration or in the implementation, so you improve in this phase your defined solution. So you might review your EAP processes, your workflows. So you're really making sure that you are on the grounds of the things, that you have really well identified the solutions to eliminate in the most efficient ways the root cause for the identified problems. And then, of course, comes enacting, monitoring, so control, where again you will use process mining to monitor and control if your solutions that have been implemented work well, and if you then see really also in the measured process a improvement. There is also adjustment, and then it goes back into diagnosis requirements if required. But this tells you how the DMake is aligned to that cycle, and where models and data is used at a certain point in time to support your DMake cycle. Now let's go into the specific case. So the CFO told me, okay, let's have a look into our procurement process because I have the feeling it's not working well. And we measured the as-is process. It's already a bit longer time ago, but we first of then a voice of the business, and the voice of the business said that they grant maximum 5 days from request to sending of PO end to end. And this would be the expectation. And if we do not meet this expectation, then it's an error. And therefore, so we measured the process, and 86.8 instances of this process that we measured through saying the data that was available out of our EAP system, SAP MM, was above the expectations, meaning an error, so wrong, so not the results that we expected, and only 13.2% were okay. So that was, of course, a first, I would say, measurement, and with an average of 14.39 days. And this was, of course, not good at all. And the stomach feeling of our CFO was then, well, I would say rationalized, and we could tell him with the figures that he was right. And then we analyzed it. So this is now it's German because it was more German teams, but and this is also not, I would say, the whole reality of the process. But you see that there are many places where we identified waste, so non-added value tasks, and we challenged these tasks really strongly. And to get, when the procurement team then also says, well, and you certainly also heard that, but we have done that since years, so why should we change? Because it's not added value. Yeah, but and therefore then it was then a I would say constructive process to discuss with them how really we can improve and how also we can digitize, because lots of these things were because it was also paper, and there were lots of signatures that were on paper and between the different buildings going around. So the process also, thanks to this analysis, was completely digitized. We were using a DocuSign then after a while, and also we were sending not the paper anymore to our suppliers, but also then as a PDF. And we have, of course, used also next to the BPMN design formats in the workshops, the different process mining views to see, okay, the spaghetti, it's the classic, to see why are certain actions or activities bypassed. And we have, you see, it was really frightening, 2,889 variants. So it's a no-go. It was simply when we started with this root cause analysis and looking at in the variants, it was horrifying. Yeah. And then really going then deeper and deeper and checking really, okay, how is the process really executed, and what are all the different issues? It was, I would say, combined approach with this quantitative and qualitative possibilities. So the process mining was supporting a lot to ask the right questions to the team and to say, well, why is this approbation constantly bypassed, or why do you have these back loops? And just by being able to ask these questions, the people from the procurement, the employees, will then say, ah, yes, it's right. Yes, well, if it's shown like that and the data is correct, then yes, we have then to check, we have to drill down in the instances, and then all the different, I would say, root causes were identified. So after all these workshops and the discussions on that procurement process, we had a reduction of tasks by 64%. So the happy path was reduced from 12 to 5 activities. And also we improved the satisfaction from internal and external customers thanks to this process transformation, and also sending then PDFs. Because we asked, okay, to have a completely digitized process. So, okay, let's implement the portal. Let's have Fiori app for our users. Let's send PDFs to our suppliers. Ah, okay, but in order to be able to send a PDF, you need a valid email address. Ah, okay, yeah, then you need to make sure that really we have valid email addresses. So it's also, I would say, painful to get this groundwork done to make sure that we really were successful also in digitizing this procurement. Because the procurement people, they're used to work in complex screens in SAP, so they use it day to day. But for managers who have to work occasionally with SAP for their purchase orders or to do validations, so they use it once, 2, 3 times a month. And of course, it was very fastidious, and therefore with SAP Fiori, it was also perfect, I would say, a tool for our managers to make sure that via their smartphones, they can also do the work, and they do not have this fastidious work anymore, or also even paper that is waiting on their office desks. Yeah, and then finally, so between 19 and 21, so we focused really on this first improvement cycle, where we reduced this process cycle time from 1439 to 2.37 days. We reduced the number of errors. So an error was there defined as a process with more than 5 days, from 86 to 6%. We were then sending the digital orders in PDF format. So 2019, it was 0, and 21, it was 85. Now we are nearly 100%. And we were measuring now also conformance of the logs with the model, where we can really then also start to do more conformance checks, because we gain more also maturity in using these process mining tools, and also in the definitions that conformance also really means. So this was, I would say, in a glance, I'm spot, so it's 30 minutes. So I would say that this is it. This is the use case, showing a bit how, yeah, we embed really process mining as a tool in our DMake method, and yeah, then applied in one use case in our procurement example. Yeah, and we have many other processes that we measure, but this one is, I would say, also quite interesting, because procurement is, I know, also a pain point, and is often used also for process mining. So I think this is it.
So John,
maybe there are questions. Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much. Very insightful and practical application of process mining in the world of procurement, in the world of SAP. I think going through many SAP deployments over the years, we have all encountered thou shalt do it this way, and this is the right way, but it doesn't fit our business. And so we create the workarounds. And I love your analogy of the sign on the road and the cars driving obviously around in the rework. That's a brilliant analogy. I think we all see this and live it every day. So I'm really interested to hear how management, the change management part of this can't be undersold, and what you had to do to convince people that have been doing it the same way for years. And then how did you produce the automation in and around the limitations of SAP? Did you have to upgrade SAP, or were you able to use other means to create those changes to be able to optimize the process?
Mm. Yeah, so that were already a couple of questions.
Sorry.
Yeah, the first one, yeah. The first one is, of course, change management, obviously. Because what is interesting with process mining, and also dangerous, it's, of course, the brutal transparency that it is bringing. And it should be sold always as a tool to really support the business and not to control them, because they should use it as a tool in their hands to help themselves, and that they also present it and make sure that they use it really as a tool. Because if it's presented, or if it's used just as a brute controlling tool, and then saying, look, we see that you have done it, you are not, so at the end of the day, it's saying you're not doing your job, and then of course they are afraid. And this is where you need, of course, to be very careful to put it into right communication, and to use it as another tool in our tool sets and our tools of Lean Six Sigma. Mm-hmm. That is, I would say, a quantitative possibility to get new insights or other insights that you get on top to the normal, I would say, well-known Lean Six Sigma tools. So this is the first thing which is very important to understand. Mm-hmm. SAP, we have SAP a lot, many modules. We also have Salesforce, and we are currently in a major project to upgrade SAP on S/4HANA. Mm-hmm. So far everything, so we are in the middle of the transition. So far everything was before S/4HANA, and then of course the processes that we measure out of SAP need to be adapted, mm-hmm. And we need to make sure that also because S4HANA comes with embedded process improvements. So the processes are then also slightly different, and this needs to be, of course, adapted because it has an impact on your actual measurement. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is something that we need to carefully analyze the impact. Indeed.
Going through that process myself a number of times, I think what we encountered was belief in the data. So the first reaction from a lot of folks was, we don't believe the data. And I was just curious on how you were able to overcome that piece. I think you alluded to that in the first answer, but maybe just go a little bit more depth, because I think that's the real insight that people would like to learn and understand.
Yeah. Non-trust in the data can shoot everything down, because they say your complete process mining stuff is bullshit because the data is not correct. Everything that you see on the screen is wrong. So, and this is something that you need, of course, to avoid. And what we do is that with the data scientists, we double and triple check that the data is correct, and we seek and get validation together with the process owners, and making really sure that first the samples and then later also the complete data is correct before we show any analysis or any results to anybody. It's simply an important must-do check that the data, the event logs are correct, because this is a major risk. If then later in the presentation they tell you, well, look, your data is wrong, then your whole process mining is, I would say, lost. So
did you incorporate any enterprise information management, data analytics practices while you're doing this? Are you doing that at the same time as part of S4HANA? Very often folks launch EIM kind of initiatives in lieu of building data marts. Do you have anything like that going on at your organization?
Yeah, we are working together with the teams. For one finance, so for the S4HANA project, we did not use it. So we did not use process mining because of the type of the project. So we said we will then work with it in a later step, because it was also absolutely time sensitive, and so therefore we did not use it there. But we use it for a couple of key processes, and once S4HANA is up and working, because there's also a lot of pressure on the operational teams, and so therefore also we said, okay, for that one we will not use process mining.
Yeah, I think that's wise. Yeah, you got to get you need to get the S4HANA up and running, right, in the test case areas that you have chosen. If it is that procurement typically, in finance areas, is that where you're building your in the beginning?
Absolutely. Yeah,
that's pretty typical. The other question that often comes up, and we talked about this last webinar, and that is the integration of process mining and RPA. Do you have any RPA efforts going on? And then if you do, how do you integrate process mining with your RPA efforts?
Yeah. Yes, we have an RPA. It's a different piece of technology than our process mining tool, because there are also some that are more, working together or claiming they can do both. But we have there another piece of software, and we use RPA as a possible automation tool in the process. So when we identify, okay, there is a highly manual, fastidious task in the process, which is time consuming, then it gets a good candidate for an APA. And then because in lean, we always try to identify, to cut out waste, and everything that is done in a manual way, which is error prone, which is taking data and copying from left to right, or this type of things, or creating reports and so on. So this is of course typical, I would say, candidates for RPA, and we watch of course exactly our processes and check then if RPA can be used for that. But it can also be that it's much better to do it in the workflow straight, or to use an automated report for that. So it's not automatic always RPA, the silver bullet and the solution. So therefore we use it, but we use it in a, I would say, in a smart way, and we still need to go to drive really to the root cause to understand where the problem is, because if you automate waste, it doesn't help either.
Yeah, it's WPA, right? Waste process automation, right? It turns into.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So, where would you say if a company was starting new and in the process mining area, and they've been doing Lean Six Sigma to some degree, and they've done a little bit of RPA. Where have you found areas of the business that are generally more accepting than others of indoctrinating process mining?
Mm-hmm. I would start in the company with those process owners that are willing to do that. For me, it doesn't help to, of course, order to cash is the one that is maybe the one of the most interesting. But if it's more easier to prove really the value and the benefits, and to first do a proof of concept that goes quick, and we know how it is, having done many projects. It's always easier to work with a process owner that is keen, that is willing, wants to improve his processes, and that he will do the extra mile to support you, that in fact the tool can be used in a very I would say satisfactory manner.
Yes.
And is helpful also in the approach, and this is where I would start. I would start with an ally, with a process owner who is really willing to use that piece of technology to get things done and move forward.
I completely agree. That's been my experience too. It doesn't really matter where, it matters more the leader and the culture is accepting, and the people want to change.
Absolutely, yeah. Because in these projects there are many pitfalls. If the process owner is not with you, or he's not convinced, there are many possibilities to shoot this down, or to slow it down, or to make it not a success simply, and that of course should be avoided.
Yeah. Well, Jan, thank you so much. I think we're at the end of the webinar now, but I really appreciate your insights and the sharings that you've provided us. Thank you so much for taking your time from looking at the ocean and enjoying your holiday to be with us today. You'll have to drink a glass of wine on us, and cheers to you. Thanks so much.
I will do. Thanks, James.
All right.
Thanks to all.
Have a great night.
Bye-bye.
You can turn off your camera. All right. So thanks everyone for joining us on this journey of Process Mining Live. We've heard some incredible presentations from iGraphics, from the change decision and how change management, as much as we like, this keeps on popping into all these types of technology changes with Ed Cook. And then Mindsy, James Henderson provided an excellent overview of what process mining is and the practicality of it and operationalizing process mining. And then we ended this series with Dr. Jan Ricken on the coast of France, where we all want to end the week this week, and then Senvo. And what better way to end it with a practical way of implementing process mining into a company with the perpetual issue of indoctrinating it into an SAP environment, S4HANA, in that type of environment, which is we all face at some point in time in our company's evolution. And it's very practical, process mining, and we would think that it should have been actually launched before RPA, I would say, but a lot of folks want to see benefits right away. But if you can't see the data and you're automating poor data, then you're automating poor decisions. Process mining unwinds that very easily, and it has a very high return on investment. It will be indoctrinated by your company, and so we look forward to you trying it out and letting us know how it works out, and reach out to any of our presenters for today's webinar to find more information. Thank you so much, and have a great day and great evening and weekend ahead. Bye-bye.